click is all it takes to lose everything.
We are in a cyber war. You can either be a defendant or you could be a victim.
There are essentially 3 levels of logging maturity. The first level is see no evil, hear no evil. Basically, don't log. If I don't log, I don't have to recognize and I don't have to acknowledge that I'm getting compromised. And believe it or not, there are some companies that play that game because the current regulations today basically say if you detect an attack, you have to tell the people. If PII information is compromised, you must disclose that. But they don't say anything about the level of security that you need to have in place. So there's some naive companies that honestly believe if we're not logging and we're not looking, we're not going to detect, and then we don't have to disclose a breach. That's very short-sighted because if you're compromised, it will eventually be discovered. And by the time you discover it, if you don't do logging, it's going to be a major, major problem and a major exposure point. So it's actually much better to log and detect early than be naive and ignore it. Then the second level is the danger zone. This is where you're logging a ton of information, but you're not reviewing it. You're not analyzing it. Basically, you're getting a ton of liability with none of the benefit. So to me, you want to get through that second area, that danger zone, as quick as possible. And you want to get to the third level, which is where you're logging and reviewing the logs. Now, the problem with most companies is they do extreme. They went from no logging to logging everything. Well, if you're logging everything, you find nothing. Let me ask you a question. If you're generating 100 gigs of logs a day, but your team can only analyze 10 gigs a day, what's going to happen? 90 gigs doesn't get analyzed. And most likely, that's going to be the critical information that you need. So it's better to log a little, review a little, log a little, review a little, than it is to log a ton and not be reviewing or looking at those logs. Do you realize every company that's had a major breach, if you go back through the logs and you know what you're looking for, the attack is logged, but there was so much volume, they missed the needle in that haystack. So I would rather you only log a little and only catch 20% of the attacks. Now, people come back and go, but Eric, if you're only catching 20%, you're missing 80%. My answer is today, you're missing 100%. So if today you're missing 100%, isn't 20% greater than 0%? So start small, log a little, review, log a little, review, log a little, review. It's better to catch some attacks than it is to miss all the attacks.